Somewhere on your bank statement this month, there is a charge you have forgotten about. Not a large one, something between $7 and $19. A service you signed up for during a free trial that ended 14 months ago, or a subscription that came bundled with a device you bought, or an app you downloaded once during a specific season of your life and have not opened since February. You are not going to notice it when you scroll past it. The amount is too small to trigger the mental alarm that larger charges activate. The merchant name is slightly obscured by the bank's formatting, and the charge has been there long enough that your brain has quietly reclassified it from an active decision to background noise. This is not an accident. The size, the timing, the merchant name display, the renewal email buried in your promotions folder. Every element of this transaction was designed by people with advanced degrees in behavioral psychology, user experience, and conversion optimization, working in concert to ensure that the charge continues indefinitely, with the minimum possible likelihood that you will take action to stop it. You did not forget about that subscription. You were engineered to forget about it. There is a meaningful difference, and understanding it is worth somewhere between $2,400 and $6,000 a year to you, depending on how long you have been living inside the system without examining it. The subscription economy is the most successful business model innovation of the last 20 years, and it was not invented for your benefit. According to a 2025 survey by CNR Research, the average American household spends $219 per month on subscription services, $2,628 per year. When those same respondents were asked to estimate their monthly subscription spending before seeing their statements, the average estimate was $86 per month. The gap between what people think they spend and what they actually spend on subscriptions is $133 per month. A systematic underestimation of 2.5 times that holds with remarkable consistency across income levels, age groups, and geographies. A separate 2025 analysis by Rocket Money found that the average household carries 4.2 subscriptions they have not used in the prior 90 days and are still actively paying for. That is not one forgotten gym membership. That is a structural pattern of ongoing payment for services that have delivered zero value in the past 3 months, maintained by a business architecture specifically designed to prevent the cancellation behavior that the consumer's rational self-interest would otherwise produce. Here is the reframe that changes how you see every subscription offer you will encounter for the rest of your life. The subscription model is not a pricing innovation that provides consumers with flexible, affordable access to products and services. It is a cash flow engineering strategy that converts one-time purchase decisions into perpetual revenue streams by exploiting the precise psychological mechanisms that make human beings terrible at tracking small recurring costs over time. The companies that shifted from selling products to selling subscriptions did not do so because it was better for customers. They did it because the lifetime value of a subscription customer is 3 to 8 times higher than the lifetime value of a one-time purchaser. And because the behavioral economics research accumulated over the past 30 years told them exactly which friction levers to pull to make cancellations psychologically harder than continuation, at every stage of the relationship, indefinitely. To understand why the model works as well as it does, you need to understand 3 psychological mechanisms that operate beneath conscious awareness, and that subscription pricing was specifically architected to exploit. The first is what behavioral economists call the pain of paying. Research by Drazen Prelek and Duncan Symester at MIT established that spending money activates the same neural pathways as physical pain, a measurable insular response that produces a brief, aversive signal every time a financial transaction occurs. This pain of paying is what makes you wince slightly when a restaurant bill arrives, even if the amount was expected. It is the mechanism that creates at least some natural resistance to spending. Subscription pricing eliminates the pain of paying almost entirely. The charge happens automatically, in the background, without requiring any conscious decision or active payment behavior. You do not hand over a card. You do not click a confirm button. You do not receive a prompt that asks whether you want to continue. The transaction occurs invisibly, and the pain of paying, the one biological mechanism that creates friction against spending, never activates. Subscription companies do not just benefit from the absence of this friction. They engineered the payment structure specifically to remove it. The second mechanism is what psychologists call the ostrich effect, the human tendency to avoid information that might require uncomfortable action. When you know you have a subscription you are not using, checking the charge on your bank statement requires acknowledging it, which creates a decision point, which requires effort, and potentially the mild discomfort of admitting you paid for something you did not use. The path of least resistance is to not look. Most people choose this path most of the time. Subscription companies understand the ostrich effect well enough to design around it. The confirmation email for a successful renewal goes to your inbox. The cancellation process requires navigating to settings, finding the subscription section, clicking through 2 to 4 confirmation screens, sometimes completing a survey about why you are leaving, and occasionally speaking with a retention specialist trained to present offers that make cancellation feel like a loss. The information asymmetry between how easy it is to start a subscription and how difficult it is to cancel one is not accidental. It is a conversion funnel operating in reverse, optimized for retention, with the same engineering rigor that the original sign-up flow received. The third mechanism is what economists call hyperbolic discounting, the consistent human tendency to overvalue present benefits relative to future costs when the costs are distributed over time. When you sign up for a free trial that converts to a $14.99 monthly charge, your brain correctly evaluates the immediate value of the free access. What it dramatically undervalues is the cumulative cost of that $14.99 charge across the 23 months you are statistically likely to continue paying for a service after your genuine active use of it has declined below the level that justified signing up. 230 months of $14.99 is $344.77. Your brain evaluated the free trial. It did not evaluate the $344.77. Subscription pricing is designed to present exactly the information your psychology will overweight: the immediate value, the low monthly cost, the risk-free trial, while making the long-run cumulative cost as invisible as possible. There is a reason subscription pricing is displayed as per month rather than per year. A $179 annual charge creates more friction than a $14.99 monthly charge, even though they represent the same economic commitment. The unit of presentation is not neutral. It is chosen to minimize perceived cost at the moment of highest purchase intent. Let me show you what these three mechanisms look like operating together in a real financial life, because the abstract psychology becomes considerably more concrete when you follow a specific person across a specific timeline. Meet a woman named Michelle. She is 34, lives alone in a mid-sized city, earns $71,000 per year, and considers herself financially aware. She tracks her grocery spending. She has a budget app. She is not someone who feels out of control with money. Here is a complete inventory of Michelle's active subscriptions in March of this year, assembled from 3 months of bank and credit card statements. A streaming video service at $15.49. A second streaming video service at $13.99. She added for one specific series and never canceled. A music streaming service at $10.99. A news publication at $9.99. She reads approximately twice per month. A cloud storage service at $2.99. She cannot remember setting up. A fitness app at $12.99. She used intensively for 6 weeks in January. A password manager at $2.99. A VPN service at $4.99. She signed up for during an airport trip in 2022. An audiobook service at $14.95, with 11 unlistened credits accumulated. A meal planning app at $7.99. She has not opened in 4 months. A photo editing software subscription at $9.99. she uses perhaps quarterly, and a premium tier of a free app she upgraded during a moment of enthusiasm at $4.99 per month. Total, $112.34 per month, $1,348 per year. When Michelle sat down and built this list, which she had never done before, her initial estimate of her monthly subscription spending was $40. She was aware of the music service, the primary streaming service, and the cloud storage. Everything else existed in the category her brain had reclassified as background. The $72.34 per month she discovered beyond her estimate, the services she was paying for but had mentally stopped accounting for, is not a trivial number. At 8% annual investment returns over 30 years, $72.34 per month is $108,000. Not from a salary increase, not from a market windfall, from canceling services she was already not using. Here is what I think is the most psychologically interesting part of this. Michelle did not feel poor. She did not feel financially stretched. She felt fine. The subscriptions were individually small enough that their cumulative weight never registered as a burden. This is precisely what the model is designed to produce. The goal is not to make you feel robbed. That would trigger cancellation behavior. The goal is to extract a maximized revenue stream from your account with the minimum subjective experience of cost. A $15 monthly charge that you never notice is worth more to a subscription company than a $50 annual charge that you consciously evaluate every year. The revenue is lower, but the retention is higher. And at scale, high retention on small charges outperforms high revenue on conscious annual commitments. You are not supposed to feel this. You are supposed to feel fine. The broader subscription explosion has compounded this dynamic in ways that were not true 10 years ago. In 2015, the average household subscribed to 2 streaming video services. In 2025, the average is 4.7, according to a Deloitte Digital Media Trends survey. The per-service cost has also risen. Netflix's standard plan has increased from $8.99 in 2015 to $15.49 in 2025, a 72% price increase over 10 years, while general inflation ran approximately 35% over the same period. Every major software category has converted from one-time purchase pricing to subscription pricing over the same window. Adobe, Microsoft Office, Quicken, antivirus software, cloud storage, games, fitness, meditation, learning platforms. The total subscription surface area of a typical American household in 2025 is 3 to 4 times larger than it was in 2015, and the average per-subscription cost has risen faster than inflation across most categories. The feeling that your money does not go as far as it used to is not entirely explained by general price increases. Part of it is a categorical shift in how you are being charged for things you used to buy once and own. The audit is where everything changes, and it requires exactly one afternoon and a specific methodology that most people never use because nobody has ever suggested it to them. Open every bank account and every credit card statement for the past 3 months. Create a single document, a spreadsheet, a notes app, a piece of paper, and write down every recurring charge you find, regardless of size. Do not make any cancellation decisions during this step. Just list them. Name, amount, last used, why you signed up. When the list is complete, apply a single filter to every item on it. If this service disappeared tomorrow and was replaced by nothing, would you notice in a way that affected your actual daily life? If the answer is no, it cancels. If the answer is yes, it stays. If the answer is maybe, it cancels. Because the definition of a subscription worth paying for is one you would notice losing, not one you might notice losing on a thoughtful Tuesday afternoon. The maybe category is where the subscription industry lives. Every item that lands there is a product that successfully sold you a free trial and then occupied a corner of your financial life that was too small to force a decision. Cancel the maybes. After the cancellation audit, The second move is to change the payment relationship for subscriptions you choose to keep. Where possible, pay annually rather than monthly. The per-unit cost is typically 15 to 20% lower, and the annual renewal creates one conscious decision point per year, rather than 12 opportunities for passive renewal. Assign all subscription charges to a single dedicated credit card, rather than spreading them across multiple cards and a debit account. This makes future audits take 20 minutes instead of 2 hours, and creates a single monthly number you can evaluate. Set a calendar reminder for the first of every month to review that card statement as a 5-minute exercise. The subscriptions you review monthly are the ones you consciously retain. The ones you stop reviewing are the ones that quietly re-enter the background. The third move is to apply a 24-hour rule to every future subscription sign-up, particularly free trials. Before entering payment information for any free trial, write in your calendar, not a mental note, a literal calendar entry, the exact date the trial converts to a paid subscription, and what the first charge will be. If you are not willing to spend 90 seconds creating that calendar entry, you are not sufficiently interested in the service to evaluate it rationally, and you should not hand over your payment information. The calendar entry forces the future decision to be conscious. The subscription model's primary weapon is the absence of a conscious decision point at conversion. The calendar entry reinstates the decision point the company removed. It costs 90 seconds and reclaims it permanently. The $219 monthly average is not the ceiling of this problem. It is the mean across a population that includes people who have recently audited and people who never have. The households at the top end of the subscription spending distribution, people who have been accumulating services for 5 to 8 years without a systematic review, frequently discover $300 to $500 per month in active subscriptions when they run the audit for the first time. That is not a financial crisis. It is a recoverable situation that takes one afternoon to address. The money recovered is not found money in any poetic sense. It was always your money. It was simply flowing in a direction you had not consciously approved, because the system was designed to remove your approval from the transaction after the first click. Michelle ran the audit. She canceled 9 of her 12 subscriptions in a single afternoon. She kept the music service, the primary streaming service, and the password manager. She redirected $87 per month, what remained after her kept subscriptions, into a high-yield savings account that she had previously struggled to fund consistently. She said afterward that the most unsettling part was not the money. It was realizing that she had been paying for 11 months of a fitness app she had genuinely forgotten she owned, and that at no point in those 11 months had any email, any notification, any charge on her statement been designed to remind her that she was not using something she was paying for. The system had no incentive to surface that information. It had every incentive to keep it.